Welcome to the FML podcast, the podcast on a mission to uncover actionable insights, explore the latest trends, and to catalyze your fintech's growth. Join Growth Gorilla's founder and managing director, Shameer Sachdev, and some of fintech's hardest hitting marketers and leaders.
Welcome everybody today to this week's episode of the FML podcast. Today with me I have Piotr, who is the CEO and co-founder at Uncapped. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Do you want to just share a little bit about yourself and your journey to Uncapped?
Sure, very happy to. So I'm Piotr. I'm, as you mentioned, I'm founder of a company. And actually today we are celebrating our third birthday. So it's been 3 years since Uncapped was created. I created Uncapped after being a VC for several years. So, I actually started my career in banking, then spent many years in Google, then moved from Google to be a VC investor. And as I was a VC, I met literally thousands of amazing entrepreneurs who were building the companies not fitting VC model. I think, VCs are usually investing in the companies which can become unicorns, decacorns. But for them, 100 million exit is something too small. They're not interested. Well, this is actually a great business. If you build a company of 100 million, it's a great business. And these founders really struggled to get any form of capital to scale their company because banks don't understand them. They don't want to lend to them. VCs were saying, this is too small, doesn't fit our model. And I couldn't help these founders. I was meeting these entrepreneurs and I could invest in them, but I felt like there must be some way to help them. And I realized this is a huge market opportunity and thought, hey, actually maybe I can build a product for them and help them. And these VC fundable companies too, of course.
Tell me about the journey from thinking about the idea to actually bringing it alive. And I suppose my question as well is almost in a paradox. Uncapped is obviously VC backed to a certain degree as well, right? So are the VCs eating their own lunch by investing in Uncapped?
No, not at all. I think, we don't compete with VCs. I think we're a very compatible product. But the journey for Uncapped, it's an interesting one. So first of all, it took me many months of thinking. I think I started to think about the company many months before I actually decided to pull the trigger. It started by having a lot of ideas, a lot of iterations, a lot of discussions, a lot of market sizing exercises. But bottom line was every night I was going to sleep knowing that actually there's opportunity to build a company in this space. And if I don't act on this fast, I will regret it all my life because someone will build a big business in this space. So at some point, after 3-4 months and talking to some friends, I decided to do a first pitch deck. And I was a VC, right? So I knew how to do one, more or less. But for me, it was very embarrassing because all the other VCs were my friends. So I went to the closest one to me. I went to my friend, Nick. He's a partner at White Star. I came to him as a friend, basically. He was like, hey, let's have a coffee. I want to tell you about my idea. I told him about my idea. The first thing he said to me, well, before I start giving you a feedback on the deck, etc., I'm in for 250,000. We will invest 250,000 as a fund. And I was like, oh wow, that's a great start. And yeah, his words were a huge encouragement. And then I worked on a deck, started meeting all the other funds. It wasn't as rosy later because, I think initially we wanted to raise 1.5 million to start a company. This is what we felt is enough, the minimum amount of money to build a product for several months and then have enough money to lend to the startups because I need 700,000-800,000 to give these first few loans to the customers to prove a model. But yeah, managed to close the round at some point after many ups and downs. And, 3 years later, here we are.
I've got lots and lots of questions, but I kind of want to set the scene a little bit. Where I want to dig into first is, what are the types of companies that you are funding? Are they the same sort of companies that are looking for VC money? Or have you kind of moved away from that now and are you looking at different areas and different market segments?
I think VC fundable companies can become our customers. And a lot of VC funded customers work with us, but not only. What we focus on is high growth online businesses. And we work with SaaS companies, e-commerce companies, but also, marketplaces, fintech companies, quite a wide range of businesses. What's unique about them is, first of all, they usually have to be growing. We are providing growth capital. So we want to give you more money to accelerate marketing, give you more money for inventory, extend your runway if you're a growing SaaS company. If the company is on the decline, I would say this is usually not a fit for us, because you usually have to be growing if you are in this space. We are looking for the company with good unit economics. We're going for the companies which, when we know that where we can give them more money, they can spend more and they can actually be growing faster thanks to money from us. If you can get VC funding, it's amazing. We can help you maybe take less VC funding, avoid dilution. We can maybe help you delay doing a founding round, because maybe like your unit economics are so good. If you can raise 6 months later, 9 months later, you will raise at a much higher valuation, especially nowadays. It's crucial nowadays. So we can help you extend your runway by a year. Don't raise now, raise in 12 months. But, we are complementary to the VC funding. So VCs are a big channel for us, and VCs are sending the companies our way saying, hey, this is an amazing company portfolio. Maybe you can, guys, give them some boost, give them some supplements so they can be even better, prettier, bigger when they're going to the market a bit later.
That kind of brings around my question around, obviously, these are early stage organizations. One of the pain points of raising funds with VCs is that it can be a time consuming, hard process. So how do you balance, I suppose, the risk part of the business and ensuring that you're backing and giving money to companies that have obviously good unit economics, but at the same time not compromising on the speed in order to deliver them the funds that they need?
We invested a lot in the technology and processes to make the decision-making process fast and efficient. I think, at the end of the day, what I think is slowing down the decision-making process in a VC fund is, it usually takes you 2 weeks to get the first meeting, and then people are sharing, like when the VC asks you for the data, and you share them after some days, and then analysts, it will take them several days to make the decision, to make the analysis, and then we have to discuss internally. The process is stretched over many, and then there's the follow-up questions. The process is very, very, very stretched. What we managed to do is we managed to build the technology and processes which streamline this to the extreme. So you come to us, and even before we speak to you, we ask you to connect us to the data. So we have all these integrations. We integrate with your accounting software, we integrate with your bank account, with your payments platforms, any data you can get hold of. And then in the same time, we have a conversation with you. So after a few hours, our risk team can leverage all this technology and algorithms to make the decision. This time frame is squeezed very, very meaningfully. We automatically look at all the factors about your business. We don't have to have manual process to build a model. Like we take your data, we analyze them, we understand your unit economics, margins, development, we model the future, we look at the past, the history, we benchmark you to the competition. And this allows us to make the decision often even same day, whether we want to give you the capital or not.
With the speed that you're delivering cash to people, and you said obviously, the VCs are partners that are sending clients your way. I do remember though, I think it was earlier on this year, or maybe it was sort of back end of last year. I saw a lot of ads on social channels for Uncapped. It's a significant amount. I'm curious, how did that work for you? Was it a viable acquisition strategy or not?
Short answer is it wasn't. We actually canceled all the ads on Meta platforms. So we probably saw a lot of ads on the Instagram, etc. We don't advertise on these platforms at all. We also changed the profile of our company much more. So, in the current economic climate, we took a very big, hard look at our business, and we were thinking, what makes sense? What doesn't make sense? And we had to make some very tough choices regarding the future of the business. One of the big decisions we've made is we actually stopped doing very small loans. So we used to offer the loans as small as £10,000 to the customers, to very, very early stage businesses. We increased this limit to about minimum loan of 100,000. What's driving this decision is We, in the current economic climate, we really wanted to make the company profitable and break even. And we started to, look at the breakdown of our customers, and it turned out that 50% of our customers are the small customers below 100,000, but they only represent about 5% of the total volume of our loans and about 2% of the profit, because they are much smaller, they are harder to serve, etc. So we decided to not service customers at all. It's always painful as a founder to say no to the customers actually knocking on your doors, but we felt it was necessary to do that, to offer much better service to the bigger customers who actually really move a needle for us. And as we moved much more towards bigger client segment and offering them much cheaper loans versus what we used to, much longer durations up to many years. The largest loans we do are in tens of millions, literally. Very customized products. Sometimes we shifted our acquisition strategy and the focus, because people will not take a 2 million loan after the Instagram ads, I believe. So we were refining our acquisition strategy, and we decided some time ago to actually completely cancel all the ads on the Meta platforms.
That's interesting. Yeah, that point of not taking a 2 million loan on Meta platforms. I suppose, to be fair, there's probably a lot of people who would like a £2 million loan, but they're probably not the right sort of customer for you in their risk profile. So I suppose obviously you were getting some sort of volume in, but as you sort of suggested, it's not the right sort of customers, but they weren't really delivering the profits for you. How has that shifted your internal infrastructure from, I suppose, initially being geared up to do a very self-serve, high-volume business versus now deploying loans and disbursements of 100K plus or up to a couple of million? How has that impacted the structure of your business as it stands today?
The structure hasn't changed that much. We changed our processes. Our risk team is much more closer to the customers. When we were doing much higher volume of deals, the risk team was sitting behind and they never had a chance to actually talk to the clients. Now we allow our risk team to be much closer. We have much smaller number of customers we deal with, so we can have much more intimate relationship with them. We can give them much more of our attention, much more of our focus, and the whole organization is basically spending much more time actually talking to the customers and making the product much more customized to them, rather than having one cookie cutter product for everyone.
So obviously you mentioned that your company is a lot more sort of closer to each individual customer. Prior to obviously making that decision, you were clearly a lot more automated. Do you now have sort of a relationship management or sales function that helps move the pipeline forward?
Of course, we always had the sales function, and we continue to invest more and more into having the best salespeople available. I genuinely think all the salespeople we have today are truly exceptional. They are with us for quite a long time. They are experienced. They are really well trained. They are knowledgeable. They are friendly. It's a team I'm really, really, really proud of. As I said, the focus on larger customers allowed us to get much closer to them. So we believe we have a personal, intimate relationship with every client who is starting to work with Uncapped. Many of them I personally have a personal relationship with. And, this allows the customers to have a very different level of service and treatment. They are not part of a big machine. They're not like one of a million customers in a bank. They actually have much more concierge-like service when working with us.
There are a few players in your space. I won't mention all your competitors on your podcast, but there's obviously quite a few in your space. Do you think the trust factor and that personal relationship element is helping you, helping towards your growth and sets you aside and sets you apart from your competitors? And do you think you're leaning into an area where they're quite weak in that respect? Because I don't think many have that sort of one-to-one service that you're talking about.
I think it's one of the elements, but very important one. Having more longer-term vision for the partnership and how we see the relationship with a customer is one of the key differentiations we have. One of our competitors, used to be very aggressive, give very, very good offers to the customers, but they were giving them left and right, and they now pulled away from Europe, and they might disappear from the market completely, right? Another big competitors of ours is using a very interesting, bait and switch strategy, giving someone, very cheap short-term offer, and then next loan you get from them, next advance you get from them is at a much higher rate. It's very interesting with, we had a lot of customers who were working with us. When they moved to a competitor, when they realized, you know what, guys, actually you treat us so much better. They lured us with promising us the world, but you guys are actually the ones delivering. Like in our business, we actually don't make money if you come to us and then you leave us. We only start making money if we have a work relationship with you for a long time. So it's very, very important for us to deliver and keep delivering exceptional service. And I think we are very good at that. We have a very personal relationships with every single client, and we treat ourselves as a long-term partners for them. Anytime we start a relationship with someone, it's never a start of a single loan, it's a start of a multi-year relationship we hope to nurture.
So you briefly touched upon being available in Europe. At your peak, you were across 22 countries in Europe. You've obviously pulled back from that quite a bit since then. What was the big sort of reasons that you decided to launch into another country, another territory? What were the metrics or the numbers that you used to make that decision?
Let me give you a holistic answer to this. Expansion to new markets, in our case, was very easy if you want just to launch in a market. By launch, I mean offer loans in this country. I think, there are a few markets in Europe which are heavily regulated, like, Italy, France. Some of them are like tough to get in, but feasible, like Germany. And some are very, very easy to open. You basically don't need much regulatory approval. Year 2021 was a year of a land grab in our space. Us and all our competitors, peers, were growing at a crazy pace. We grew our employee count by like almost 10x within 12 months, from 11 people beginning of the year to like almost 100, I think, at the end of 2021. So we also wanted to offer our product everywhere to land grab. This year, as I mentioned, as a part of rethinking the company and thinking, where do we want to be over the next 3 years, we realized that we have to be very careful in what we do and also what we don't do. And we want to offer our customers the best customer service possible. And we were not able to do that in many markets in Europe. We were not ready to serve them. They are also too small markets for us. So, we had markets like Slovenia where we had one client, Finland with like, I think 2 clients. And like, we realized at that point that it's misleading to offer our product in the markets if we can't give the customers the service level they deserve. And we decided to focus on the 6 core markets in Europe plus US where we will be operating. And these markets be the best available solution for the founders in our space. So today we operate in UK, Germany, Netherlands, Poland, Spain, and US.
Naturally, we speak to a lot of fintechs, and I think, sometimes there's an ego element to launching into a new country and being in 2, 3, 4, 5 countries in one go. But I think sometimes you can probably get just, the same amount of business just by being in one country, but just doing it properly and giving it all you've got. I mean, I kind of know the answer to this question, but I'll ask it anyway. But I'm guessing between shrinking, obviously, your footprint down to 6 countries in those core territories, pushing to obviously focusing on higher value customers, that naturally it's improved your bottom line massively, and you're more profitable as a business on the back of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, at the beginning, when the war in Ukraine started and shortly after, we saw that economic conditions everywhere in the world deteriorated significantly. And we wanted to be very, very prudent. So in May, we did a big restructuring of the company. We changed the management team. Several people left the company, including my ex-co-founder. We had to let go several people in the business. And I promised to my investors that we will focus the company on our core competencies, which is the credit, and we will make the company profitable. We thought it will take us much longer, frankly, to be profitable, but we are profitable for the last 3-4 months already. And, we have a very healthy unit economics. We are very well prepared for the next, 9 months, 12 months of economic deterioration, no matter what happens. But also we are as soon as the conditions improve, we are ready to accelerate and double down on what we do well once we see that actually the world is ready to, be more aggressive in scaling the online businesses.
Do you think that the current economic situation, let's call it a recession, everybody else says, do you think this recession that we're in will actually be beneficial to Uncapped? Because liquidity is obviously drying up from the VC side, but ultimately, because you're now cherry picking the businesses that you're working with, there's an opportunity for you to actually expand and grow in a climate where it might be tough to operate for a lot of other businesses.
I think so. I think it's beneficial for us from many perspectives. Actually, demand for our product is bigger because VC capital used to be so abundant that everyone could get VC funded. Now the companies are much more thoughtful about raising VC and they are trying to optimize their capital structure much more. I also think it was very helpful for us because it made us take a very close look into the mirror and take a look, what are we doing right, what are we not doing right? And I think if it wasn't for the crisis, we would be much more inefficient. We wouldn't be making the tough choices we made. But these tough choices, I think, will really profit the company in the long term. So while it was last 6 months were extremely painful for me, and I also think for many, many founders, almost any founder I speak to had to, scale down the team, take a look at the profitability, take a look at, margins. I think we all agree that it's the right thing to do and will serve our companies well for the future.
Could you kind of take me through that process or line of thinking when you're seeing the world change, quite rapidly? What were the decisions that you had identified that needed to be made in order to ensure that you survive as a business? I think, and the reason I ask that, there's, like you, spoken with lots and lots of founders, some made some hard decisions. Some I still think are treading water a little bit. And I'm kind of curious as to how you've kind of come about those and what was your thought process?
Yeah, it was a very difficult process. I was seeing the first signals of a slowdown for quite some time. I started to realize that the world will change for a long time and the capital markets will dry and we will not be able to raise the round for quite some time. And this naturally makes you realize and makes you think you have to be profitable. For profitability is existential need of a business. Without it, we will not be able to survive. This goal drove all the decisions which were happening next. So first of all, we looked at the product roadmap. We spent a lot of time working on neobanking solutions. A year and a half ago, 2 years, we thought that, we started with lending product and it's working very well. It's very attractive. And we thought, hey, can we actually combine the lending product with banking product? Something that, usually it's done the other way around. Usually you have people building banks and then adding lending on top. Our view was that, hey, can we start with lending and then add banking next to it? There were many flaws in this thinking. I think, first of all, we misunderstood really the customer needs. And, we were still pretty young as a company. We're like 1-year-old company, maybe 1.5-year-old. We didn't have that many customers. Organization was not ready for such a tremendous challenge of launching new product. So I think we made every mistake possible. But bottom line was, beginning of this year, somewhere in March, we have about half of a company working on this new product without any clear sign that it will be profitable or even break even. And this is when, as a founder, you realize, well, I need to make a very tough call. If the goal of mine is to be profitable as a business, I need to cut off my hand, because this hand is dragging me down, it's stuck, it drags me down, and I need to cut it off. It's painful. I will lose a lot, great people, I will lose some knowledge, but I can't afford to be spending millions of pounds on this new product without having any return on this for a long time. This decision was not easy. And this decision, as you can imagine, was very contentious, even in our management. And the decision was so, at some point it was elevated to the board level and we had to make some strategic changes in the company based on this. And this was followed by, once we decided we are not building this product, we decided we have to slim down the team. But then there's next level of changes in the company. You start to think about how are we acquiring the customers? Are we doing it efficiently? What's our payback period? A lot of assumptions which were maybe true in 2021 when the world was skyrocketing we're not holding up anymore. The world was changing. So we decided, as I said, to cut down marketing budgets a lot. We changed acquisition strategy. We changed the channel mix. We've thought much more about operations and the efficiency. We're thinking hard about the pricing. And these were the tough choices. But bottom line is they allowed us to, I think they also inspired a lot of people in the organization. They gave a new energy in the organization. And now we've never been as healthy as we are today, as a company, as a business.
From those decisions, from those hard decisions, you've kind of come back. And like you said, I think if you're healthier than you were going into them, then that's a big win. And I think what we're going to see over the next, probably 6 months, if not a year, I think we will see the market shrink a little bit. It's interesting. I've had, over the last couple of months, I've seen I've got a few emails from various organizations that were in this sort of startup space, the fintech space. And we've got the dreaded email of, we'll no longer be offering this service, and you can see the fact they've actually closed down. But I think those that made that rush towards profitability will ultimately be the ones that end up surviving. So I think that brings us kind of nicely on to asking the question, where does, what does the future look like for Uncapped? What's in store the next 12 months, maybe the next couple of years?
We have a lot of exciting stuff in the pipeline. What we've launched in the last few months, first of all, new offering for the SaaS companies. We offered much more attractive propositions for the companies with recurring revenue, with much longer payback period, up to 2 years, so-called, runway extension loans, which are much more better, much cheaper, much more efficient than venture debt. A lot of SaaS founders now, they have great economics. They could raise a round, but they don't want to because of low valuations. We are giving them the option to extend the runway without giving up the equity. So this is a very interesting product we've launched. We've also launched dedicated product for the Amazon merchants. So, while Shopify merchants are struggling much more, we see more and more demand for products offered on Amazon and other platforms. And we work with a lot of Amazon merchants, and we have best-in-class product for them with the lowest rates available for the market. So if you are an Amazon merchant, I highly encourage you to check our website, because I think we have best offer you can get anywhere else.
Before we wrap up, we'll jump into our quick fire round. What podcasts are you listening to at the moment?
I always like A16Z podcasts. I think we have a lot of guests from many different areas, and I love the content they produce. What
book or books are you reading at the moment?
I just finished the book by Frank Slootman called Amp It Up, CEO of currently Snowflake, before ServiceNow, and great CEO. And I think he writes a lot about how to increase velocity of organization, how to increase the pressure, make the organization move faster. I highly recommend it. And now I'm reading How the World Works by Václav Smil. It's one of the favorite authors of Bill Gates. I love his books as well. And he explains a lot about how the world has changed, and it's working right now.
Other than Uncapped, what's your favorite fintech app or favorite startup app that you're using at the moment?
I'm not using it, but I'm really interested in Be Real. I quit social media. So, I did my Instagram account, and I try not to be on the social media. But I love this new generation of social media, which is trying not to focus so much on, creating reality, but actually talking about the real, how the world really works. So I might give it a try one day.
There's Be Real, and there's also We Are 8 as well, or something,
yeah.
Which is, you're only down on there for 8 minutes a day or something. What's the best bit of life advice you've ever received?
The one advice I would give to everyone is just be kind, be good. I think, life of the entrepreneur, life of everyone is tough. And at the end of the day, what I still believe that what really pays the best in life is to be the good person, never burn the bridges, and try to be kind to everyone else. And this will come back to you one day or another.
Amazing. Great advice. Well, Piotr, thank you very much for coming on the podcast today. Best of luck with everything with Uncapped for the future.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
The FML podcast is brought to you by Growth Gorilla. To find out how our marketing growth experts can boost your fintech's growth, head to growthgorilla.co.uk. And make sure to search for the FML podcast in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Don't forget to click follow to ensure you don't miss any future episodes. On behalf of the team here at Growth Gorilla, thanks for listening.